Good morning. We're here in New Orleans, Louisiana at the golf club at Audubon Park. We've got a rainy day for our first championships of the American Athletic Conference school year, the men's and women's cross-country championships here in New Orleans. We're going to change the start times. We're going to try to move the women's race to about 8:40 and follow up with the men's soon after. The course is on a golf course here in New Orleans, and you can see we've had a lot of rain. We'll speak to that later on. We have an on-site reporter as well. Hi, my name is Dennis McNulty, and I am the voice of the American Athletic Conference in cross country and track. It's a pleasure to be with you. We're going to have a great championships. In spite of the rain, you're going to have a good time watching the digital stream. We're very excited to be with you, and we've got a report now from Haley Alton.
Welcome into the American Digital Network studio as we welcome in championship season, the first one of the fall coming in New Orleans for cross country. 240 athletes, 12 schools, all looking to claim the conference crown at Audubon Park Thursday morning. There will be some familiar faces out on the course this year. Individual champions Hannah Miller from SMU and Tulane's Emmanuel Rodich will look to defend their titles. Miller has paced the Mustangs in every race this year. She won 2 individual titles and placed in the top 5 in each meet. She's been the Americans Athlete of the Week 4 times this season to lead the conference. Running only twice this year, Rodich captured the title in his first race of the season at the Texas A&M Invitational, placing first of 118 opponents. On the team side, the Tulsa men have set the standard since joining the league and will look to claim its 5th straight title, while the Yukon women will look to repeat after claiming their first championship last season. Let's dive into a few of the other top storylines heading into this year's championship races. On the women's side, 11 all-conference runners return from 2017, including the top 4 finishers from last year's meet. SMU's Miller, UConn's Brianna O'Brien, Mia Nahome, and Haley Hasty. With UConn looking to repeat, all 5 of the Huskies' young all-conference runners return to this year's championship, which includes O'Brien, who placed 2nd overall as a freshman. SMU and Tulsa will certainly be in the hunt to get the trophy back. The Mustangs and the Golden Hurricane are both in search of their 3rd American championship. In the men's 8K, 7 all-conference runners returned to championship action, including 2 of the top 5 finishers from 2017, Tulane's Rodich and Tulsa's Scott Beatty. In fact, Tulsa still has 4 top 50 finishers from last season's championship and owns the best regional ranking in the American, sitting at number 3 in the Midwest. Temple, on the other hand, holds the 2nd highest regional ranking, listed at number 7 in the Mid-Atlantic. The Owls have finished in the top 5 in each of the past 3 conference championships after taking the 3rd place spot last season. The women's 6K race starts at 11 a.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Central, while the men will run the 8K course at 11:50 Eastern, 10:50 a.m. Central. The championships can be viewed live and for free on Facebook via the American Digital Network Plus.
When everything's a little different, one thing remains the same: the chance to make a real difference. Because the norm here is anything but. Every day our volume grows, every moment a bit more colorful than the last. From a city that's 300 years old, we inspire things that are entirely new. Because that's what creates the change the world desperately needs.
More than 7,000 student athletes rising to become champions in 22 different sports at 13 esteemed institutions across 11 states. 360,000 students and 2.6 million alumni rise up in celebration of a Power 6 conference known as the American, powered by determination.
I'm Kate Leahy, and this is my story. I love that TU is part of Tulsa, and that we're not stuck on campus. I'm in all sorts of organizations, and I've studied abroad, twice. At TU, I'm involved in whatever I want to be. I've learned that it's okay to change paths because my life is an amazing book and I'm still writing it chapter by chapter. And that's my story so far.
Strong in mind, strong in body, strong in school, sport, life.
The grind is 10% physical and 90% mental.
The mind is the power.
The body is a means to jump higher, run faster,
be smarter, and live longer.
There is no weakness when it comes to seeking help.
We are stronger together.
So let's talk about it.
A waterfall starts with one drop.
Change starts with one person.
The American is dedicated to ending the stigma related to mental health.
And promoting success through a healthy, powerful mind.
Promoting success through a healthy, powerful mind.
I was the last person anybody's thinking is going to be in college athletics. One thing I really valued about my SMU experience was being in engineering school. I was taught how to think. In 2012, my wife and I decided to start our foundation. Basically, the goal is to let kids be kids while they're in the hospital, but also be able to return to being a kid when they're done. A huge part of my quality of life is the experiences that I've had, and that was all provided by SMU. I'm Thomas Morstead. Game changers are shaped here.
Scores! 3 strikeouts in a row.
Dominance for a 4th straight year.
Cueto from 30.
Unbelievable.
And be able to celebrate this type of championship.
There's the record breaker. They are the champions of the American.
In just 5 seasons, storied programs have united as a Power 6 conference. We've watched record breakers, All-Americans, and victories that proved we are not only equal to the best, but often better. Can you imagine what's ahead for this Power 6 conference? We can, because the best way to predict the future is to create the future. The American, powered by determination.
Well, there's the finish line, and I want to speak to my good friend there at the course itself. This is Paul Boron. Paul.
Hey, Dennis. Of course, the story here is the weather. Now, the conference moved up the start time to 8 o'clock, hoping to avoid this. Mother Nature didn't cooperate. Now, on Tuesday, New Orleans received about a half-inch of rain. Now we're getting remnants of Hurricane Willow, which hit Mexico on Tuesday and has come through. Folks here at the golf course have told me they've already received 2 inches of rain in the last 24 hours, much of that coming since 4 a.m. So this course is going to be very sloppy. Now, as for the course itself, we're in New Orleans. We're below sea level, so everything is going to be wet, but it's going to be pretty even throughout. There's not much elevation in this course, so things will be wet throughout the course. Now, I did talk to the UConn coaches and asked them how the wet conditions would affect things, and they said it really will only affect traction, and that's about it. He was more worried about the varying start times. Dennis, back to you in the studio.
Well, now you see the race is underway, and very wet conditions. What we have here at the golf club at Audubon Park, we've got a course, and if you go on our website, you can see this, and that's probably the most hilly section you'll see in all of the city of New Orleans. Hannah Miller, the defending champion, she'll be out front. We'll get a view from that. Keep your eye on Winnie Koski from Wichita State, our 10,000 champion here in the American, and we'll get this. But the course layout basically is about a 2,000-meter loop, a little bit longer than that, and so hence the women are going to take roughly 3 laps, and they'll finish a little bit different than the start, but they'll run the perimeter of this layout here at Audubon Park. Beautiful area there, beautiful view shooting back toward downtown New Orleans. Tulane has done a great job setting this race up, and we'll get a view in a moment of the lead. Now, you heard Haley talk about UConn. UConn last year, the American Athletic Conference was dominated by SMU distance runners. Kathy Casey does such a great job, and Steve Gelly's program at the University of Tulsa. And almost every American Athletic Conference distance race, it was one of those athletes. Then you got Anne-Marie Blaney coming in from Florida, from UCF. She had a great career, the All-American, graduated. She won 2 individual titles. Then you had Emily Durgan from UConn also garnering a title here and there. So the conference really was kind of limited on cross-country championships until J.J. Clark's UConn Huskies put the exclamation point on the title last year at the conference cross-country championships. Had 5 runners for UConn in the top 15 all-conference. In fact, they went 2nd, 3rd, and 4th. That's really good. What I call as a former coach, that's good money. That's going to score you real low into points. Just like golf, cross-country, lowest score wins. And so we have then a view of the runners making the perimeter, and as soon as we get a shot of the lead, I'll let you know. But you're going to look for a number of athletes that have been running very well here in the conference. We mentioned number 60, and you look for her. That's Hannah Miller, an NCAA finalist last year. She was our runner of the year in cross country, also track. You want to also keep your eye on Winnie Koski from Wichita State. You'll look for her in the yellow uniform. She's having a great fall. She was actually 3rd in the Arkansas. University of Arkansas has a very big meet early in the season, the Chili Peppers. She's 3rd individual. And then a couple weeks later, up at the University of Wisconsin, she ran in the pre-nationals. You see J.J. Clark there in the view cheering his runners, and he'll cut across the course. Cross-country coaches, they don't just stand on the sideline with a headset. They run around and get the job done. But anyway, Koski will be number 101. You want to look for her. For Temple, this has been a great resurgence in our conference. I'm very, very happy with the program at Temple. It's just so neat to see this. James Snyder's done such a fantastic job. Millie Howard for Temple set our conference record indoors in the mile and actually got the broom out and led a 1-2-3 sweep there in Birmingham. So our distance programs here in the American are one of our pride and joys. They do great jobs. We have all of our lead teams. As you see now and here in the background, the runners are circling back toward where the crowd is, near the start-finish area. But Millie Howard is part of that resurgence of Temple as I was speaking. And so Coach Snyder's doing such a fabulous job with that. So that's just kind of a preview. You heard Haley talk about some other individuals that's had a good year from different teams. Grace Sullivan's having a great fall for East Carolina. So we're going to get a view here pretty soon of some of the student athletes up toward the lead. You see Koski there to the left. She's up there with the leaders, running away from this camera view right now. Hannah Miller right there with her as well. And along with Hannah Miller, she's been led by the veteran. That's Charlotte Murphy, Charlotte Tara Murphy. She was an all regional performer last year in that South Central Regional in the first round of the NCAA tournament. Charlotte Tara Murphy, 5th 2 years ago, and she a little bit off last year, but had a great indoor and outdoor track season, so she's running very well. So Hannah Miller, who has led the Mustangs for SMU, she's the defending champion, and she'll tend to dominate. Now, as you see, they go through the water, and what J.J. Clark said is basically the same. Is, you know, the start time's more of a concern than, you know, the athletes are very, very focused, like good athletes in all sports. And oftentimes conditions, they'll worry the coaches, they'll worry the moms and dads and spectators, and of course the camera crews and the great staff we've got here. But the student athletes, they know it's racing. And that's a mindset that a lot of coaches have worked with their student athletes. They've had rainy days back home. It's been raining in East Carolina. They've had rain at Connecticut. They've had rain in Cincinnati. They've had rain everywhere. And a coach said, well, we're not going to bag it today with our practice. We got practice. So what? You know, rain's rain. And so they're not too concerned about that. Obviously, if you take the stopwatch, which oftentimes we become an addict to, the stopwatch time, you take that and throw it out the window because you're not going to run fast on soft ground like this. You heard Paul talk about conditions such as we have in the rainfall that we've got with the hurricane that came across the western coast of New Mexico, and now has impacted not only Texas but there in New Orleans. I wonder if, Paul, if you have anything out there you can see that you might be able to throw to us.
Yeah, Dennis, the runners just made the first loop around us, and you know, you could certainly see the mud up on the legs of several of the runners.
Okay, well, back to we're a little technical difficulties, but you see the runners leading out. They're spread out, and the men will. And I'm guessing, and I'm not a soothsayer or anything that's going to tell you the future, but I'm guessing the men will pack up a little bit. But we'll talk about the men's race later on. But the women have really strung out. Koski and Hannah Miller are front runners. They like to go out and set the pace and dictate what's going to happen in the race. So you're not going to let the race kind of be a big pack like you'll see at a lot of championship races. But these two runners are front runners, and they're going to take it and charge from the front. And if you're good enough, you can hang with me. If not, well, good luck to you. And so I'm suspecting that we've got out in that lead pack Hannah Miller of SMU, Winnie Koski of Wichita State, and not too far in arrears is the pack for UConn. And that pack, you heard those student athletes led and mentioned. UConn's got such a great group there. The runner-up in the conference last year was Bree O'Brien. She's out of Old Westbury, New York. She comes from a great cross-country program. Right behind her was Mia Nahom, and then in fourth last year is Haley Hasty. So I suspect those three are leading UConn's charges. And they're in that second loop. They do three big circumnavigations, if you will, around the outside of the golf course, and they'll come up one of the outside fairways into the finish, and we'll get an indication of that. So runners go by. Rain is kind of, actually, believe it or not, the rain is kind of softened. And cross-country courses that are on the golf courses are one of two things. Most golf courses have a pretty good drainage system. They're sand-based, and of course we have below sea level issues in New Orleans. But we run on a cross-country course that's laid out around the perimeter of a golf course. Sometimes that works to your advantage because the terrain is designed to get water off of it and flow. And yeah, you're going to see mud. That's just with it. But believe me, I have seen so much worse. We have 3 years ago in our NCAA championships at Terre Haute, we literally had to move the starting line 50 meters to get it out of water. And it was on a clay-type surface, and you saw ankle-deep mud in some spots. So not so much here at the golf course here at Audubon Park. They do a great job as runners come by. Now, along with, we talked about UConn and their 5 all-conference runners coming back, and then, believe it or not, they're actually a little bit stronger than last year. They were joined by the All-American Susan Aneno. She was an NCAA finalist in the 800, so she's got that great 800 speed. She joins then the 5 all-conference runners. SMU, we talked about Hannah Miller at length, the conference runner of the year, and Charlotte Tara Murphy. Well, they've got a couple others that are pretty good, makes that team strong for Coach Casey. Safina Ostersek, she's running very well, and she's done a good job. Now, we mentioned Millie Howard from Temple as well. Well, Coach Snyder's got some other people as well. Helen Gottlieb has run very well, the veteran now from Denmark. They also have Katie Leischer that's run very well for the Owls. She was all conference. She was in 7th last year and one of the lead runners for Temple. And so that program is running very well with Temple. The Owls are also led by Grace Moore. Now, she was 3rd in that mile, part of that 1-2-3 sweep they had indoors. Came back, and she was the conference runner-up to Hannah Miller in the 3. So look for Temple to be led very well. we haven't talked much about Tulsa, and so we probably need to make mention. Remember, Tulsa, the women's program, a perennial powerhouse here in the American. They were led last year by Adriana Mazzi, and she and Caitlin Klopfer have done such a great job. Now, Klopfer, indoors to Hannah Miller, she was the runner-up in the 5,000 meters, the runner for the Golden Hurricane out of Manchester, Missouri. She was also, the reason I wanted to speak to her about her is she was an NCAA finalist in the steeple. And so she had a great spring, especially late spring, and oftentimes that'll translate into cross country. Now, Wichita State, you know, we talked about Winnie Koski, but Rebecca Topham is back. She was in fact, this last summer at the USATF Nationals, had a school record, ran 10 flat in the steeple. And there's a great view on your left there from SMU, the defending champion, and on the right for Wichita State, that's Winnie Koski. Koski, a double winner in our outdoor championships in track, and Koski's got some good leg speed, so those two are very familiar with him. That's Charlotte Murphy right there, and I believe that might be Topham back there in fourth place. That's your top four individuals as they move across the cart paths, make the left turn, and then continue the loop around the perimeter here at the course at Audubon Park. They're doing such a great job, the course management, the people set up, all the volunteers and so forth to set up the race. But they cut through different parts of the course and get on split mats and so forth. We're trying to keep you updated with the live timing, having a little bit of technical difficulties due to the rain as far as timing and so forth, getting across these splits. But side by side, the conference champions, you see them right there. And that's Hannah Miller of SMU and Winnie Koski of Wichita State. Now, if you look, Wichita State's easy to pick out. They've got the gold over black. SMU is easy to pick out. They've got the red over blue. Those uniforms are rather easy. UConn will wear that navy blue with the UConn Husky singlet, and sometimes a little tougher to pick out from afar. Some coaches will actually put their teams in very bright uniforms just so that they can be seen. Coaches can figure them out. Some school colors just lend themselves to natural visibility. Well, the runners are continuing, and they'll move along. I'm pretty certain they're in their final lap, and you see it's going to come down then. Who wants to do the grind over that last 600 meters? Hannah Miller of SMU, our defending champion, or Winnie Koski of Wichita State. Koski last year just got her debut to that, and there they are, the lead runners, guys, Miller and Koski.
Guys. Thank you.
And they have separated themselves from the pack, Miller and Koski, so it's going to be who can drive it home. Now that's Charlotte Murphy right there, I'm pretty certain, of SMU. So SMU, two of the top three. That's good news for Coach Casey and her team. Coach Casey does such a prolific job of training her runners. They've had teams in the NCAA championships 2 of the last 4 years, so it's great to have her. She's had an individual in the championships and every year in the last 5 years. So Coach Casey does a great job getting her student athletes ready, especially when it becomes title time, and that title time is today here in the American Athletic Conference. So we look through the pack there. You see one of the lower parts of the course, you know, set up for drainage and such. This golf course has a lot, as you see, trees, but also lakes. And so the water will naturally flow into that. So it's not as, not a quagmire, so to speak, as you would expect. Footing being what it is. Great example of just tempo. Right there's the All-American for UConn. That's a Neno. A Neno right there with her teammate. That was Sarah Leatherwood. So that's a little further back in the pack. You see some of the Cincinnati runners coming through, as well as Cougars of Houston. Now, Paul, let's see what you've got on the course. So I'm going to throw to you, Paul.
All right, Dennis, hopefully you can hear me now. We're going off the camera mic now. The conditions have gotten a lot better, as you've mentioned on the broadcast. And Winnie Koski and Hannah Miller certainly have started to separate themselves. And as they're heading towards that back stretch, it's going to be interesting to see how they come to the finish line. It looks like the area around the finish line is, relatively speaking, not as wet, so it might make for an interesting finish here, Dennis.
Well, we'll see that how the finish will work. Now, I remember last spring in track, Koski had a great kick, especially in the 5,000 meters over Hannah Miller. So it'll be interesting to see how those two finishes work. I don't want to be a betting person to see who's got the kick or not, because when you get on grass and run on that surface, all bets are off. So if I'm guessing on the start time, and it's tough to say where this camera is, that the runners are probably in that last 1,000 meters, Paul. What do you have?
Yeah, Dennis, we're kind of keeping an eye on them. It's coming down the stretch, as you can see the fans starting to line up along the way here, and we're trying to actually get the group on the hill to stop impeding our view. But what you're looking back at is the Cathedral for Loyola Tower, and that's one of the most picturesque parts of this course, and that is where they will come into the finish. We're trying to keep an eye on them, and we'll see if we can get this group of people moved right in front of us so we can get a little better shot of the finish.
And there's a view of the cathedral right there, Paul. I can see that. That's very good. Now, from that then into the finish, a little bit of downhill, and that might lend itself in Koski's favor. Very tough, you imagine, with putting cameras around almost 2 miles. There is the finish area, and you see then the people are starting to pick their spots and get set up. Hannah Miller of SMU, the defending champion, way out ahead. Along right with her, Winnie Koski, our 5,000 and 10,000 meter champion here in the American Athletic Conference of Wichita State. And Winnie Koski, as she did in track, looks like she's doing the same thing here in cross country. Winnie Koski making that last turn now, trying to figure out where to go, and working her way into the finish. Koski looks like she's going to be the cross-country champion here in the American. Hannah Miller having a little bit of difficulty trying to negotiate the last puddle, but this is Winnie Koski of Wichita State, your American Athletic Conference champion, coming through the chute. Now, Wichita State with 1 and 2 runners in. I think that's Topham. So 2 of the top 3. Now, this a year ago is where UConn's pack just came in. So let's just see what happens here in the next few seconds here to see who crosses the line. I'll see what we've got coming up here. Trying to get a live stream from the feed, and you see that's Topham right there with Koski. Topham, just as I mentioned, a great summer. UConn, and tough to say Tulsa with a couple runners there. Now UConn 3 in the chute. I believe that that's Temple, I know 2. SMU, I think, has 3 at this point. This is where a coach doesn't worry about time. Doesn't matter. What was your place? See Tulsa now, I think that's the number 4 runner for Tulsa, and there's Grace Moore there for East Carolina. That's Winnie Cabet of Wichita State. Temple now with their team in. So Temple has closed out with 5 runners in. We'll see. Must assume then UConn and SMU are kind of in that same boat. So now it's a numbers game, folks. Cross country is you take your 5 runners, you add their places up. It's a real simple way to just, if you're second, you score 2 points. And just like golf, the lowest score will win. So we'll await and try to get those results now, as we've just got a panoramic of the finish here in the American. Men's race now, women's race about 25 minutes in. Men's race, we got about 20-25 minutes to go. They put a 15-minute gap, so we'll do the men's race following. You can see the great staff there doing a fine job. Runners now, when they cross a race, it's kind of like what you see in your local road run. They run over an actual timing mat. It's got electronic sensors not only in their shoes, but sometimes in their bib number as well. And that records your time to finish and, of course, your place in the race. And it's very important because in cross, low score wins. And right now it looks as if Temple, Tulsa, SMU, and UConn are the 4 teams where they're looking at the, if you will, like playing cards, looking at the hand that was dealt there as they cross the finish line. Paul, do you have any kind of idea of the score or anything like that?
No, we don't have any posted scores out here yet, but as you mentioned, Wichita State finished strong, but many of the SMU runners came in as well as Temple, so it's going to be real interesting here to see how it all adds up.
Well, we'll hope. We got a good timing company that's doing the finish, and as soon as we can get those results posted, we will. I'm checking them just almost every second to see if they have anything up, and right now I don't. This season has been very good. This in cross country and coaching, the way the cycle works is you get them back on campus and get them going through the routine of class, change from their summer training. Most of these student athletes are very busy in the summer, either taking classes, doing internships, things of that nature. And of course, training is just second nature no matter where they are. And so as a coach, you communicate a little bit here and there through the summer, just touch base, making certain they're in that base training cycle. Then you get them back on campus, you assess, see how they're doing, what condition they're coming in, and begin with that. And that's what September is usually about, getting them, making the transition back. New runners coming out of high school or transferring have a little more difficulty. It takes a little more time to make certain their transition is. So as a coach, and these guys are pretty good at it. I talked about Coach Gully from Tulsa and Coach Casey from SMU, but all the coaches, Coach Snyder at Temple and on down the line, they know that. And so they get them into that training cycle. And that's what September is all about. Then we get to October, and then you can find a few major invitationals. Mention the Chili Pepper. 5 weeks out of the NCAAs. They have the pre-nationals. And then, of course, then that 2-week break. And now here we are on the 25th day of October at the first bit of another chapter in that training, and that's called the championship season. What happens now is these student athletes raced in our conference meet. This is known as Super Conference Week throughout the country. This is one of the first conference championships in cross country. There are several more tomorrow, Saturday, and one even Sunday. So throughout this weekend, they'll run their conference meet. Then, after the conference meet's over, they go back to campus, they assess, they go training cycle, and then they'll come in and prepare for the first round of the NCAA championships. Now, the American Athletic Conference is a true American Athletic Conference. The American Athletic Conference has teams that are as far west as Wichita. They'll run the Midwest Regional. You've got SMU that runs in the South Central Regional, all the way up to University of Connecticut, which runs in the Northeast Regional. USF runs in the South Regional, Cincinnati in the Great Lakes, and so we're literally cover 6 of the 9 NCAA regionals in cross country. That's the entry level. Of to the NCAA tournament, and so this is championship time, and these coaches are very good at moving the training up to that next serious level some 9 weeks after being on campus. Now, Paul, I'm going to throw to you and see what you can figure out. I know you're looking, trying to get the nuances. See what you could find, Paul.
Yeah, I just talked to a couple of Wichita State coaches. A lot of confusion down here right now. They're trying to sort it all out. And Wichita State thinks they won the team event. They had runners finish first, third, and a third runner finished in the top 15. So they think they won, but a lot of people kind of looking around, looking for the official story.
They can't hear you. You're close to the camera.
So I don't know if you caught that. I'll repeat that. I just talked to the Wichita State coaches, and they believe they won this, but they're still kind of sorting it out here at the finish line. But they did have runners finish first, third, and in the top 15. So they believe that they may have won this meet.
Well, Kirk Hunter's done a great program, has a great program there at Wichita, and if your first two runners score you 4 points, that's pretty good. So let's just wait and see. I know they look good, and we talked about the other packs as well. So anything you can pull out, Coach Hunter does a great job out there with his runners, bringing Rebecca Topham back and getting her in shape, coming off of injury. That's huge. There's Coach Snyder and your Temple Owl team, and we'll try to get a report from them. So, Paul, I'm just going to leave it with you and see what you can find.
Yeah, Dennis, we're still trying to sort it out. Everybody's kind of taking some pictures and getting stretched out and cooled down right now, and we're hoping to get some sort of official word sooner than later on officially who won. Obviously, we know who won the individual, and Winnie really ran a great race and pulled away from Hannah Miller there in the last 500 meters to 1,000 meters. So I'm going to run back over towards the finish line and see if I can find out something official, and we'll get back to you, Dennis.
Okay, great picture there. East Carolina doing their team pose. This is a great time for the student athletes. So let's take a break, and we'll be back in a few minutes.
When everything's a little different, one thing remains the same: the chance to make a real difference. Because the norm here is anything but. Every day our volume grows. Every moment a bit more colorful than the last. From a city that's 300 years old, we inspire things that are entirely new. Because that's what creates the change the world desperately needs.
More than 7,000 student athletes rising to become champions in 22 different sports at 13 esteemed institutions across 11 states. 360,000 students and 2.6 million alumni rise up in celebration of a Power 6 conference known as the American, powered by determination.
I'm Kate Leahy, and this is my story. I love that TU is part of Tulsa, and that we're not stuck on campus. I'm in all sorts of organizations, and I've studied abroad, twice. At TU, I'm involved in whatever I want to be. I've learned that it's okay to change paths, because my life is an amazing book, and I'm still writing it, chapter by chapter. And that's my story, so far.
Strong in mind, strong in body, strong in school, sport, life.
The grind is 10% physical and 90% mental.
The mind is the power.
The body is a means to jump higher, run faster,
be smarter, and live longer.
There is no weakness when it comes to seeking help.
We are stronger together.
So let's talk about it.
A waterfall starts with one drop.
Change starts with one person.
The American is dedicated to ending the stigma to mental health
and promoting success through a healthy, powerful mind.
Promoting success through a healthy, powerful mind.
I was the last person anybody's thinking is going to be in college athletics. One thing I really valued about my SMU experience was being in engineering school. I was taught how to think. In 2012, my wife and I decided to start our foundation. Basically, the goal is to let kids be kids while they're in the hospital, but also be able to return to being a kid when they're done. A huge part of my quality of life is the experiences that I've had, and that was all provided by SMU. I'm Thomas Morstead. Game changers are shaped here.
Scores!
3 strikeouts in a row.
Dominance for a 4th straight year.
Hueso from 30!
Unbelievable. And be able to celebrate this type of championship.
There's the record breaker. They are the champions of the American.
In just 5 seasons, storied programs have united as a Power 6 conference. We've watched record breakers, All-Americans, and victories that proved we are not only equal to the best, but often better. Can you imagine what's ahead for this Power 6 conference? We can, because the best way to predict the future is to create the future. The American, powered by determination.
Welcome into the American Digital Network studio. It's time for your Olympic sports update. I'm Haley Outen. In women's soccer, it's the final week of the regular season, and it's going to be a photo finish as teams battle for the regular season championship. The marquee event will be the War on I-4 Friday night when USF hosts UCF. The Bulls can take the outright regular season championship with a win or tie, while the Knights will look to capture its 2nd straight title with a win of its own. The league's regular season champion will host next week's conference tournament. You can tune into this matchup live on the American Digital Network on Facebook Friday night at 7 p.m. Eastern. This is where the standings get fun, though. For Memphis, a title is still within reach if the Tigers win Friday and UCF beats USF. The American would then have a 3-way tie for the regular season crown. Either way, the conference championship gets underway next Wednesday somewhere in the state of Florida. On the men's side, UConn took over sole possession of first place in the conference standings last weekend thanks to a game-winning goal from Abdu Baki Jam against Temple on Friday. The Huskies remain unbeaten in the American and are in the midst of an impressive 9-game unbeaten streak dating all the way back to September 2nd. You can't help but wonder if that streak has anything to do with the fact that UConn leads the nation in attendance so far this season, averaging over 3,500 fans a game at Maroney Stadium this fall. Along with the Huskies, UCF and SMU both booked their trips to the conference championship with wins last weekend. The Knights prevailed 2-1 in the War on I-4 against USF, while SMU defeated Cincinnati 3-1 in Dallas. Both teams are still in contention to host the championship and sit just 1 point behind UConn. Saturday's American Digital Network contest between the Huskies and Mustangs will be a crucial step in determining the Americans' 2018 championship host site. You can tune in at 7 p.m. Eastern, 6 Central on Facebook. We would also be remiss if we didn't congratulate UCF forward Cal Jennings on another American single-season record as he set the single-season mark for goals last Tuesday against Florida Gulf Coast with his third, yes, third, hat trick of the season. Let's head inside to women's volleyball, where the standings have officially been shaken up as UCF now leads the pack and sits alone at the top in conference play. In a crucial league matchup, UCF outlasted Cincinnati in 5 sets to take sole possession of first place, helping earn themselves a spot in this week's top 25 national rankings. That ranking is a program first. While the Bearcats now sit a spot behind the Knights, there is still a lot of season to go, and UC has one of the most dangerous players in the country on their side of the net. For the 8th straight week, outside hitter Jordan Thompson leads the nation in kills and points. That's it for your Olympic sports update. We'll see you back here Friday for an all-new episode of the American Huddle.
How do you drive impact for 200 years?
by doing it boldly, by building a bridge, breaking a barrier, planting a flag, owning a stage. Because here, we learn by doing and believe the status quo was built to be broken. So be proud, be bold, be Cincinnati. We're 2 centuries in, and we're still creating what's next. We are boldly Bearcat.
There's a lot to do out there. You can either talk about it, or you can do something about it. At ECU, we choose to do things. And we can help you do just about anything. Come here to keep hometowns thriving, hearts beating, or make waves across the world. Wherever you're headed, this ship can get you there. With 30,000 of us doing so much, you won't find anyone sitting around. You ready?
We're the visionaries chasing our dreams. Make a difference how we're living. Never routine. Conquer the impossible. Rise, break through. Fire in the belly. We've got something to prove. The world's watching while we're reaching for gold. Go higher, go further. Let your story unfold. Passionately smashing every expectation. Create and express. Every act is innovation. Powerhouse.
In a city known for doing things our way, there's a university that's driven to do the same, to blur the outdated line between academic pursuits and active ones, not just to learn, but to experience, to create, solve, build, to explore and express, to lead. Because an education isn't something you get, it's something you do.
Discovery. It can come from any direction, in places new and familiar, but often starts from within.
Changes are underway.
I got it. Oh, this is big. Wow. This is big.
This is big.
This is big.
People say we're big. Wow. Well, what is big?
This is big.
It's an energy. An opportunity. So go on. Dream big. Because big is just the beginning.
I got it. This is big.
Power comes in all forms.
Power is a big tackle,
a big save, a clutch hit,
or a game-winning shot.
Power is also standing up for what is right.
There is power in the sportsmanship that is displayed across the American.
Power is respecting opponents,
Officials,
student athletes,
coaches, and team representatives. Power is not tolerating racial or ethnic comments,
profanities, or other improper actions while at the game.
The American.
Power for life.
The American. Power for life.
The American.
Power for life.
Great to be back here at the American Athletic Conference Championships. We've got the first and third place finishers with our on-the-scene interview, Paul Boron.
Hey, Dennis, we're here with Winnie Koske, who finished first, and Rebecca Topham, who finished third. And Winnie, we'll start with you. You did this in the track and field at the 5,000 where you had a late push. Why are you able to finish so strong like that?
I think it's just like, you know,
like knowing the finish is close?
Oh, no. Wait, are you talking of the track or this meet?
Tonight's meet. You know, but you're able to finish strong. You've proven that in the past.
Yeah, like this has been my goal since like when I was training over the summer. I was like, I think I'm ready to go for this conference title. Yeah, today at this meet. Yeah.
So how does it feel to win it?
Excited.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why did you run such a good race today?
Because I was mentally prepared for wherever the conditions were or anything that could come on my way. Yeah.
Well, Rebecca, you finished third. Talk about your race today.
Just try to hang with Winnie and Hannah, and then I fell off towards the middle, and then the whole rest of the way I was just trying to catch back up. So that's pretty much how my race went.
What were the conditions like? We saw parts of the course, obviously, but didn't see the whole thing. Obviously, it was wet. How bad was it?
Oh, we were running through lakes and streams. No, it was definitely the muddiest course I've ever ran, but we're tough. That's why we run. So we just run right through it and enjoy it.
Well, you run steeplechase as well, so you're used to running with wet shoes, right?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Well, tell me about what you guys did as a team as well, just the success you had here at this conference championship.
Oh, I was so proud of my team. We just all fought hard, and they just fought to the finish and looked awesome, so I'm so proud of them.
And talk about the confidence of this team now going forward.
We're just going to keep working hard and keep trying to do our best.
Very good. Winnie, Rebecca, congratulations. Dennis, let's go back to you in the studio.
Well, a great job by Wichita State, led by these two, and that lets him set up. Winnie, we know that you have run very well, and Rebecca, great to see you back. I know that you redshirted last year, so it's going to be so fun to watch how you do in that Midwest Regional. That's coming up here in a couple of weeks. So you two led the Shockers to the team title. We'll present those awards later. Now, you've got the men coming up next, and with the men, you've got a great team race coming up. Now, this is the backstory with the men as you see them doing their stride outs and warm-ups. Tulsa, other than the very first year that the conference was organized, the University of Louisville won the team title. Now they're in the Atlantic Coast Conference. Coach Steve Gully's Tulsa Golden Hurricane has had their signature stamped on this conference in cross country. They're distance runners, all the way led through by Mark Scott, who was an NCAA runner-up in the 10,000 meters and one of the best runners in the world right now, training very well. To the current Golden Hurricane you see doing their stride outs. They're going for 5 team titles in a row. They're the 4-time American Athletic Conference champions. So going to be fun to watch the Golden Hurricane. We'll talk about some of the individuals. Also in that stride out pack doing their warm-ups is the defending champion. He's reigned for a year and now he's back. And that's Emmanuel Rodich of Tulane, the All-American from Leesburg, Virginia. Not only that, he's a brilliant student studying architecture there at Tulane, which is one of the most difficult schools in the country. He leads the Green Wave. He is our steeple champion outdoors. He's an NCAA All-American in that same event. Water doesn't bug this young man, so Rodich there in the green. Now, across the starting line, then on the left, we have over your far right, that's East Carolina Pirates, Kurt Kraft's team. Nick Chacha's had a good season for them. The Cougars of Houston, Steve Magnus, he's at the helm. Then Tulsa, we talked about them, the Golden Hurricane. Temple has had a great season. Coach Snyder, not only with the women, but with the men, distance running is fine and well in Philadelphia with Temple. Then you've got the Tigers of Memphis, Coach Robinson, Cincinnati's Bearcats. They're a sleeper. They got a couple surprises. I'll talk about them during the race. The Green Wave, we mentioned, then our Rodich, the defending champion. Then you've got UConn and USF there to the far left. And now the runners there are setting in their starting boxes. The way cross country works, depending upon the number of starting boxes you have, that'll determine the width. Sometimes you can put 4 or 5 across. Some, and as a veteran coach, there's wide maybe for 2 runners trying to squeeze several teams in a small space. Now, like the women did, the men will do the same thing. They start here, and this is at the south end, you will, of the park. They'll run kind of up a fairway, and then if you vector out to the outside of the golf course itself. They run essentially the perimeter on the grass loops. You see the rain still coming down. It has been a lot worse, so the wisdom of the committee to move this start a little bit earlier has been lauded by the coaches and the runners, and you're going to get the best of what you can get in these situations. Talked about the women. They didn't much care about the conditions. Yeah, it's muddy. Yeah, it's cruddy, but that's cross country. And a lot of cross-country runners, that's the varnish or veneer they put on the outside is, you know, the tougher the conditions are, the tougher I'm going to be. And so you're going to see that as runners go. Now, one of the things that you get in cross-country is you get muddy conditions. Well, that's good and that's bad. I play a lot of golf as another activity, and a lot of times we're cart path only. That means you're not going to put a cart out on the course. So what we got a tough muddy condition, and we're not allowed to have a lead vehicle out on the course. So that luxury of having that camera right on the lead vehicle, and right there is the reason why. A vehicle going through right there can place turf damage, and it takes a year or so to repair that. So in some conditions, you just can't have a lead vehicle out in front. So we do apologize for that, but you know, it wasn't our fault. Mother Nature had other plans. So no lead vehicle here. So we're doing the best we can. We've got a great camera crew out getting us spots and snippets here throughout the course. Fortunately, I can kind of recognize most of the athletes. We've got a list of their numbers, and with Paul on the ground and me watching the monitors, we can see. So one final run out. That's Cha-Cha bringing the Pirates out there. He and his twin brother, Nick and Andrew Cha-Cha, have been at the leading helm for Coach Kraft's East Carolina Pirates. You see UCF doing a stride out, Temple then little nerves until the timing crew gives confirmation. Now the way it works at the NCAA rules, your starter is about 100 meters out, and then you have recall starters further out than that. And so you see the gentleman right here in your foreground. Right there is your recall starter, the head clerk giving him final instructions. All these are with compliance with how we operate cross country at the NCAA level. You see what I mean? That's why we don't have a lead cart. You see the turf damage right there. So we'll get you the results. We did a great job with the women. We'll get better with the men. Final instructions ready. And here we go with the start of the men's race. Our head starter a little bit closer. Now, I talked about the women. You saw the 2 leaders in the women's race, Winnie Kosgei and Hannah Miller. They just went right out. Now, I suspect, and I've seen this many, many times before, the men might stay in a little closer pack early on. We'll see. I don't think you're going to have that one charger that takes off and takes the lead, even though we got 2 or 3 gentlemen that are, you know, kind of prohibitive favorites. But we'll wait and see. But I'm suspecting that you're going to see a little more pack running early with the men's race. So they'll head then through the middle. And then you see the Twitter site. You can hit that and follow us on Twitter here at the American. We're out there on the digital network. We're out there on Facebook. We're out there on Twitter. And so all those apps that you see that you have on your phone, right there, the Golden Hurricane led by Tulsa. Now, I talked to you about Cincinnati, and there they are. That's our conference 10,000 meter champion, Aaron Benenfield. Interesting thing, this is his first season of cross country. He's been our conference athlete of the week 2 weeks in a row. Benenfield of Cincinnati had a great year in track, and he's having a fabulous year in cross country. Earlier this year at Indiana State University, he won the John McNichols Invitational. His teammate right there to his right is a graduate transfer from Northern Kentucky. Already has his degree, working on a postgraduate degree. And Andrew Schilly is a conference champion from the Horizon League, now running for the American Athletic Conference, the NCAA transfer rule. If you graduate, you get the immediate eligibility, et cetera, et cetera. And Schilly won the Queen City Invitational early. So it was a little interesting thing. He won it twice as Norris for Northern Kentucky and once as a Bearcat for Cincinnati. Schilly has been our conference champion as well. So look for those two from Cincinnati up in the front. Paul, do you have an interview?
No interview yet. Just wanted to let you know that the rain has picked back up again. No surprise out here. Should be interesting, though. You mentioned Emmanuel Rodich, the 2017 champ. He is very familiar with running here in New Orleans, but he's only run twice all year. He won the Texas A&M Invitational earlier this year, so he hasn't run it a lot in meets, but obviously he is very familiar with running in New Orleans in the humid conditions, and obviously had the success last year. We'll keep an eye on him. And of course Tulsa, the four-time defending champ, with freshman of the year Scott Beatty, the lone returning all-conference runner for them, and we'll see if they can make it 5 in a row.
Thank you, Paul. Now, we talked about Tulsa, the Golden Hurricane. The early leader for those teams was Ryan Riddle, first year out of Webb City, Missouri. So up front then, you have the Cincinnati pair in Schilly and in Benefield. And those guys, again, new to Cincinnati, new to the program, but it's kind of fun to see how they're moving along. They've had, as I said, a great year this fall. Benenfield was our champion again at 10,000 meters. He was also this summer at 5,000 meters on the track. He won what's called the European, and it's really under age 23, so it's not just European juniors, it's just juniors plus the collegiate age runners. He was 4th in the 5,000, so he has some excellent track credentials. Benenfield, he's got number 154 when you see him come by wearing the black singlet with the red for the University of Cincinnati. And he's going to have Andrew Schilly, the graduate transfer, and he was a Horizon League 5,000 champion. They're out in front right there, in fact, Schilly and Benenfield. And then after Schilly and Benenfield, then you see Rodich, and they just went through the view on your camera right there. Getting an early lead here. This is loop number 1. The men take just short of 3 laps. There they are, Schilly and Benenfield up. Then you have Golden Hurricane. Rodich looks very good for Tulane. Along with Rodich, you've got Josh Chariot. Chariot, a first year. Now, he was all conference 2 years ago, right? Chariot, not a first year, but a veteran runner for the Green Wave of Tulane. So Rodich and Chariot right there. I'll see if I can snag a bib. That's Schilly running very well there for, excuse me, Benenfield rather, running well for Cincinnati. And then remember I talked about for Tulsa, number 137 there, you see him leading. That's Ryan Riddle. So for Cincinnati, you've got Aaron Benenfield and Schilly right there. Golden Hurricane, I see 6 runners in the top 10. So Coach Gully has things at the wheel running very well for Tulsa. Also running well is Temple. You saw those white uniforms of Temple. And again, all you got to do is quickly look and try to glance and get 5 and see how they are relative to everybody else. It's kind of, you got to have a pretty quick eye, recognize your teammates and your runners compared to other runners from the other teams. Now, lap 1 finishing. We'll get a repeat of the cameras. There's a panoramic view. Rodich then for Tulane, the defending champion, right there, the All-American. It's step for step with Benenfield. You see Temple, Golden Hurricane. I see 3 Temple in that lead bunch. There's your all-conference runners. Top 15 in the American will be cited later today as all-conference. And you can see that pack of about 17 runners has your all-conference performers right there in tow. Now, Tulsa's uniform is a little bit deceiving. You look at them from the front, and they are blue. Look at them from the back, and they are white. So a little bit different. See, that team with the white singlets here, they got everybody up there. Well, not necessarily. That's a blend of 2 different teams. Tulane, it's easy to pick their green uniforms out. The the black uniform rather with the red for Cincinnati, easy to spot. Temple, though, moving very well. Coach Snyder talked about how things are alive and well with their women. Well, with Temple, to give you a notion, they have run very well. They've had our conference runner of the week earlier in Christian Jensen. Jensen's running, has led the Owls. That's him right up there in front. He's led the charge more than once with Temple. Now, you got the all-conference runner, Anton Harson for the Owls. He was 8th a year ago. And put Kevin Lepsansky from Easton, Pennsylvania, a local guy, and he ran real well last year in the Mid-Atlantic Regional in cross country. Right there he is. So 225, that's Jensen of Temple. Number 238 right there is Rodich, the defending champion. And that gives you a great view of who's through, who's got their 5, and how they are so far. UConn there, their remaining runners seems to be a little back, not far. Could make a move for Coach Greg Roy. Coach Roy does a great job. He's the elder statesman here in the conference. Greg Roy's had more tenure than all the other coaches in the conference in his coaching duties at University of Connecticut and Stores. So those gentlemen will move along. You see the rest of the runners coming through. Give you an idea that's UCF, or USF rather, than South Florida. So our conference runs literally from Tampa, Florida, all the way up to Wichita, Kansas, and then you turn the corner and you go all the way over to Storrs, Connecticut. Truly a panoramic selection of the American college system here in the American. I'm very proud of that. So we'll get another shot. Now, Temple has run well this year. Been very competitive in the Lehigh Invitational, and very competitive there in the Mid-Atlantic region. Coach Snyder, and you think about training distance runners downtown Philly, well, you got to find spots. They do a great job. West of Philadelphia, just there in the suburbs, you've got the big park out by King of Prussia, and so they do a good. It's tough to find spots when you're in a big city. It's tough to train here in New Orleans, not only the heat, but just to find places like this. Golf courses just don't let you come out each and every day to run and train, which would be great, but they're designed for one sport, not the other. So we'll get a picture here just in a few moments of the lead runners. Jensen of Temple, he's wearing that white with the maroon, and then you see Rodich of Tulane. Those guys are our leaders right now, and we'll be back in just a second. Paul, do you have anything from your standpoint?
Yeah, well, I'm watching them as they go up, I guess would be the 9th fairway there, and they're going to disappear just over out of our view as you can see them off in the distance. It looked like Emmanuel Rodich may have taken the lead. It was hard to tell, obviously, because they're ways away from us, but it looked like he had pulled ahead, and the Cincinnati runners, Benefield and Shilley, have both kind of fallen back just a little bit off the pace, but starting to see some separation, as you would imagine, after that first loop with 3 to go.
Very good. And also throughout that, you see some of the women's teams doing their shakeout. It's important as you race to put oxygen back into the that's the quickest thing to soothe, if you will, bring that lactic threshold back down. And so just like with thoroughbred horses, as soon as they get racing, you got to take them out and walk them down. The same with the distance runners. They'll do a cool down somewhere for 20 to 30 minutes sometimes, and then some stretches. And tend to. You do that and the muscles help. You know, there are two signs to show how an athlete is in shape. One is their performance, that they run fast, do a good job. And second is their recovery and able to come back and put a workload in. So the recovery begins almost within the hour of finishing a cross-country race. So that's why the advantage is to the gals. They can be part of their cooling down, running around cheering some of the gentlemen that are running in the race. You see some of the coaches cutting across. That was Coach Roy from UConn. And then they'll, tomorrow, then obviously travel back tonight, and tomorrow they'll be set in a little bit of recovery. And sometime over the weekend, either tomorrow or Sunday, they'll go back to reoxygenate the blood. It's called the weekend, or sometimes the Sunday long run. And so the women will do that, the men will do the same. And that recovery is just as important because it sets you up for the next race. And in just 13 days, we have a new race to go, and that's the NCAA rounds with the regionals. Now, that's Benenfield of Cincinnati, and I'm not certain of the Tulsa runner right with him. It was earlier Ryan Riddle. We'll see. Could be Del Rosso. Del Rosso was 14th, or Scott Beatty. Beatty was 5th a year ago, so we'll get a bib on it. There's Rodich. Out ahead, the defending champion, the All-American from Tulane. Kind of exciting for him in his senior year. There he is on his home course. Just really the absolute, what we call model of a student athlete. Honor student. He's been in about every honorary society that they have at Tulane. And Tulane, not an easy course of study there at the university, and he's been able to do that and blend that with travel, with competing as a student athlete. And unless you've been there and know how that works, it's tough enough in colleges, being away from home, making the grades, and getting things focused, but to take your athletic ability to the level where you are not only a Division I athlete, you're a Division I All-American athlete. That's a lot of layers of excellence, and Rodich embodies exactly what we like and we're proud of here in the American. He's in the lead, and being followed then, you see Benenfield of Cincinnati in that chase group. I'm going to try to, I think that was Scott Beatty from Tulsa, but I'm not 100% sure until I see that bib number. Coach Gully, he'll bring those Golden Hurricane along. They do a great job training right there in the prairie in Tulsa, Oklahoma. Runners now back out on that loop as they go through. You saw this earlier with the women. Again, if we could give you a lead vehicle, we would, but you're not going to drive a vehicle through here in a golf course and tear up the terrain. Just can't be done. Sometimes the vehicles get stuck in the mud, and they're more of a hazard for the runners and get in the way. Well, there's Rodich right there, way out ahead, running the perimeter, you see, right next to the surrounding road here at Audubon Park. Beautiful area there in the city of New Orleans. We talked about the cathedral in the back and so forth. Rodich, look at the tempo. Now, this is on wet grass. You know, a lot of us in casual walking try to have, we're able to get a camera, thank you, to try to have a good tempo. So you go out and run on the road, you think, oh, I'm pretty good, I can run this. Well, go out and try to run on soft grass. It's like running on a pillow. Well, there's Rodich. Now, take a look. You've got Tulsa with running right there with Benenfield, and that is Scott Beatty. That's who I figured it would be. And along with Beatty, then there's the second two. So Tulsa has 3, and right there, 3 wide are the Temple Owls. Got a great race. So 3-3. Now let's look back here. Okay, UConn, but Tulsa, there's their 4th, there's their 5th runner, there's their 6th runner. So regardless of the time or place, you got 6 runners before Temple has their 4th runner coming right here. And these guys are very good. I mean, you look at the pack running, you see with Tulsa, the spread, that was Lapsansky, who was 11th a year ago in the conference, an all-conference runner, running number 4 for the Owls of Temple. So right now, Coach Gully and the Golden Hurricane Tulsa looked like they're in a position. We're roughly halfway into the race. We'll see how things go over the next 5 or 10 minutes. A little bit of change happens in that, but in cross country, spread out like this, not a whole lot of place change is going to have. So Temple's going to have to make a big move to move themselves into contention. The men from Temple did a great job. Last year, the Owls were third, and they might move up to second. Right now, though, it looks like Tulsa is on their way to be, for the 5th year in a row, the team champions here in the American Athletic Conference. We'll take a look and see how things progress over that last half. Now here comes the rest of the field. You see a lot of Cougars from Houston in that group. And this is where the course is, it's either you win the day or the day gets you. And sometimes in running you can see it, and you can just look at the posture of the runners. You see the head coming up, you know, it's, you know, the course has got you. See that eye level and moving, you know, straight forward, that good level head drive, you're going to be okay. The time may not be what you want, but you're going to have a great race. And that's no different than just in any kind of athletics. You know, you see when things go different in your posture and in your form, you can always tell. A student athlete, they can't hide that. They can try to say, I'm okay, coach, but, you know, now you're not. And so that's the magic in coaching, and try to, you know, motivate a young man or a young woman to say, you know, you're okay, you're fine. And sometimes I've told some of the best lies in the back hills in cross country, where I see one of my runners really didn't look too good, and I tell him, you're looking great. And that's kind of what we do. We're spin doctors as coaches. So one of the best doctors in spin is Coach Gully from Oklahoma, or from Tulsa rather, and he's got that Golden Hurricane in command. Coach Snyder's Temple Owls looking good, and way out in front of all of it is our All-American Emmanuel Rodich. So we're going to get another camera angle here coming in just a moment, as you see then for South Florida, runner coming by, and then we'll switch over cameras. But a great park, beautiful area here in New Orleans, and we're proud to have the American Athletic Conference hosted by Tulane University, doing a great job.
You can come to me whenever you want, if you want.
Paul, do you have anything?
Yeah, I'm looking at, as we look back towards Loyola University and that cathedral, you're seeing the runners go over the back half of the course. And Emmanuel Rodich clearly pulling away. The two Cincinnati runners are behind him. But as you've been mentioning, it's interesting, Tulsa and Temple both grouping together, both with several runners in that top 15. Of course, Temple has the second highest regional ranking in the American Athletic Conference, and they finished in the top 5 each of the past 3 conference championships. They finished 3rd last year, so they are looking to get that team championship and pull it away from Tulsa. And their runners are looking good right now, as they're coming up what would be the 10th fairway, and Emmanuel Rodich is clearly in command. And the Cincinnati runners still running 2 and 3, looking like there's a little separation between the two of them. Now we're going to try and see what's behind them. And it looks like immediately behind them, 4th, 5th, and 6th places, it looks like Temple runners, as I look through the binoculars out that direction. So Temple certainly is having a great showing right now, and getting a little distance, at least in the top runners, from Tulsa. But then there's a group of Tulsa runners all kind of together as they come over the hill, and I guess you'll be picking them back up here as they come down this stretch, heading back towards the starting line.
That's a great perspective, Paul. Now, interesting thing, that's Benenfield, one of those two Cincinnati runners. Ryan Shilley, he'll be in 3rd. Out in front of both of them, of course, is Rodich, the defending champion. Now, the 3 Temple Owls, and I'm guessing that would be Jensen, Harson, and Lepsansky moving up. Their goal, they're between #1 runner, right there he is, Jensen, going just past, and then that would be, I'm guessing, Harson and then Lapsansky. So that is 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th. Temple now, unless I see different, will have to make a move. It's going to be up to one or two of the Tulsa runners to say, we've got to jump in front. We've got to close that gap between our guys and these Temple guys. Otherwise, Temple's going to win it. Now, Temple competes in that Mid-Atlantic Regional in 2 weeks in the NCAA's first round of the tournament. And that's with storied programs like Villanova, like Georgetown, like Penn State. And so those programs, to say that Temple's running right with those programs speaks volumes to the work that Coach Steiner's done with these student athletes. So it's great to see. And it's going to be a very interesting team race. Rodich then battling the rain, picking up a little bit now here at Audubon Park. The course then, again, through the perimeters of the course. Now Rodich out. I think this is lap 3. They're finishing. They'll have one final K after they come around the start-finish, and they'll finish into the middle. You saw that little dip into the mud and a little bit of turn right before the finish. Hannah Miller actually had a difficult time negotiating that, as she was a little bit in arrears of our winner, Winnie Koske. So here's Rodich out ahead, a huge lead. He should be in good shape. Rodich got some great speed, but now Tulsa has got a 2nd place, so they got one runner in front of that Temple pack. It's going to be real fun to see how this works. And that's Scott Beatty right there of Tulsa. Now Tulsa trying to get in front of that pack.
Yes, every time I pan.
Beatty and Peter Lynch then. Lynch from Kilkenny, Ireland. Now here comes the pack of Owls. You see that's 3. So Tulsa's got a couple in front of that, and then you look back, UConn's first runner right there, but then that's 2nd, 3rd, 4th, excuse me, 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th runners for Tulsa. For UConn, you see in that group, that's Pat Begley. Begley's just had a great career. He was an all-regional performer. You talk about a tough regional, the Northeast Regional in cross country. He was all-regional last year for the Huskies of UConn. He's leading that charge for Coach Roy. Going to be very, very interesting to see how this plays out over the last 1,000 meters between Tulsa in the blue and Temple in the white and maroon. UConn then with good packing, you see there, as well as Wichita State. We coaches, you know, the 2 things you want a good pack. That's obvious because, you know, from number 1 scorer to the number 5 scorer, that's huge. But then you got to have that pack up in position to get those low numbers, and so that's a difficult balance to have. Is okay, you got to run hard to get the low numbers, but you got to have the pack, and so that's all set in tempo runs. That's all set in your long recovery runs, and that is a psychology and training that you use as a coach, and the student athletes they buy into it. That's a program that I was developed at, you know, many years ago as a distance runner, and that's the philosophy I use in coaching in my career at the high school level. And it's the same in cross country at the collegiate level. You've got to have the front runners, the top guns, but boy, you better have that pack right behind him. So you see that being displayed by Temple, you see that being displayed by Tulsa, and so we'll see what happens as we come to the next camera angle. We'll stay with this camera angle. We'll switch when we get a chance. The finish is coming up. How do they look when they come by you, Paul?
I'm watching them as they go up that fairway, and obviously Emmanuel Rodich has pulled well away, and as have the Cincinnati runners. But in 4, 5, and 6, Temple is firmly in control in those 3 spots. And then it looked like Tulsa had runners at 8, 9, 10, and 11. So this is going to be a real interesting finish, and seeing where the top 5 from each of these teams come in, because there's a group of them, as you mentioned, running together for Temple, but they've actually kind of separated out between 4, 5, and 6. All of the Tulsa runners are kind of running together as they head towards the back half of this course and get ready to come in for the final 1,000 meters and head in towards the finish line. Emmanuel Rodich in control for the individual title, but a lot to be decided here for the team title.
Very good, Paul. Again, it's going to be interesting to see. I know one thing, when the awards come up in the all-conference presentations of the top 15, well, we know Rodich is going to be there, but there are going to be a whole lot of Tulsa Golden Hurricane, a whole lot of Temple Owls receiving those all-conference accolades here in the American. So we'll get the next switch on our cameras, and that should be toward the finish. As you see, some of the other runners are a little further back in the pack, talked about running posture and things like that, and that's where it just slows you down, like you become almost your worst enemy in running. And not to mention what goes on between your two ears and that thing we call a brain, and all the psychology of it, but just the biomechanics, and it's so important to maintain that. There's Rodich in control, heading in toward the finish. Now, if I'm not mistaken, Emmanuel Rodich will be your conference champion once again as he comes into the chute. And I'm thinking that's a Golden Hurricane right there behind Rodich to pick up second. And Scott Beatty, fifth last year, runner-up. There's Rodich, your American Athletic Conference champion once again, the All-American from Tulane. He wins. I believe that's Scott Beatty of the Golden Hurricane, then Benenfield of Cincinnati. Not bad, third in the conference in your first year of cross country. That's a pretty good achievement for Benenfield of the Bearcats of Cincinnati. So the All-American there from Tulane, he finishes. Another Golden Hurricane, now some Temple Owls coming in. And that pack of three that Paul referred to earlier, they are in the chute. Again, camera staying with our All-American there from Tulane, doing a great job defending his title. Golden Hurricane there, that's Begley of UConn right behind the rest of those runners. I think that's the fourth or fifth runner from Temple into the chute. So let me throw to you, Paul. Do you have a good eye on the chute and have an idea who is where?
Yeah, I'm trying to keep kind of an unofficial tally here. Best I can tell, as you know, Emmanuel Rodich came in first, Scott Beatty came in second. Looked like a Cincinnati runner in third. Then it starts to spread out. Looked like Tulsa had fourth, Temple had a fifth, a sixth, then back to Tulsa 7th, 8th, 11th, and 12th. So Tulsa may have done this late and come back, and they may have captured their fifth straight title here.
Well, we saw that, Paul, earlier with the Wichita State Shockers. They go 1 and 3. Well, if Tulsa goes to second place with Beatty and then a teammate in there at fourth, 2-4, that's 6 points. And then that means they only have to score 3 more runners. And so it just depends on where those runners are relative to that nice pack that Temple had. And I'm certain you're going to get the word before I do, but that was very good. I thought that Tulsa earlier may not have had the measure, or Temple rather, may not have had the measure, but it looks like they may have closed, or who knows, pulled it off. You see the mud splattered on the back. That's a white uniform, folks. It's going to be tough on the laundry guy, but you can see that happens with the back kick. You're wearing spike shoes in cross country, and your leg comes back in the running cycle back kick, and so just like if you're riding a bicycle through water and that just sprays back up on you, same deal with your running spikes. Then they'll kick that mud right back up on the back of your singlet, and you see that. And most cross-country runners think that's the coolest thing on earth. So moms don't like it when they give them the hugs, but it's really a badge of honor. Cross-country runners, and I know this because I was one for several years, that you absolutely love this kind of racing and love this kind of weather. Yeah, your times don't mean anything because you're running on soft mud and all that junk, but it is kind of fun. I guarantee you that. Rodich, a very happy young man. What a stellar career he's had here for the Green Wave of Tulane. Paul, what do you have?
We're just kind of looking at folks giving Emmanuel Rodich congratulations. Again, it looks like Tulsa did it. We're still waiting for the official word. We're a little ways away from the scoring 10. Regardless, Temple, if they didn't win it, they still had a strong finish and better than last year's, and again in the top 5. So congratulations to Temple one way or the other. But Emmanuel Rodich, we see him over just ahead of us, and I think he's actually going to come over to us here shortly. We'll keep an eye on that.
Very good.
We'll see. We'll see.
Okay. Well, there's a good picture right there. Somebody's happy. And you look at Temple, and again, you think, okay, you're right in the heart of Philadelphia. Where the heck are you going to run? Be like in New York City or something like that. But they get the job done. They do a great job. Talked about Coach Snyder and his ability to take those student athletes and develop them, train them. There are two or three good programs in and around the Philadelphia area. Villanova I'd mentioned earlier. And then you've got Temple. So, Paul, how about an interview?
Yep, we're here with Emmanuel Rodich. First of all, just you only run 3 times competitively all year. You've won twice, and you are the American Athletic Conference champion. Just tell me the pride you take in that.
All right, this is amazing, being the last year and taking advantage of the moment. I'm really pumped up and I'm really impressed by the organization of the school and of the American Conference. It's just an amazing experience, to take over from me and to go forward. We've been making sure everything is down in terms of training, getting ready physically and mentally. With all the support that we were expecting every day, it makes us go, for the great things.
But tell me a little bit about the course. Obviously, you've run out here before, but probably not like in these conditions. It was really wet out there. What was that like?
I would say this is the most challenging course I've ever ran in my career. Yeah, despite the fact we do have when it's challenging with the fast guys running really hard. This is just the same thing, no difference because you're not getting the conditions really wet to try to turn around, you're just sliding. So it's using the double energy you should have done with the dry conditions. But all the same, it's a good experience, I've trained here before. And I feel it's more of a build-up and crashing through and just rolling like that, It's good. I like the course. This cross country, this is what it is. You never expect something great. With all the rain, it's just perfect.
Yeah, but this was a little extreme. A little extreme. Hey, you obviously were pulled down to a big lead, but did you feel the Tulsa runner coming on you late? It didn't look like he was going to catch you, but he certainly made a push behind.
Yeah, I feel like it was going to. It's okay. This American Conference, I feel I kind of went out too early as I planned, but and then I realized okay, I can help whoever is coming from the back, have that kind of spirit to follow me. I was not gonna let him come, but I was okay, let me give him a try because sometimes you go hard too quickly, and somebody looks oh, I can't do that. But when you give them that space, they'll be okay, I'm gonna catch him, and then because I didn't see him coming, but I knew he was coming. I could feel the ground with the water, but it was good for him.
Well, there he is. He is the back-to-back American Athletic Conference individual cross-country winner. Congratulations, Amanda.
Thank you so much.
Back to you, Dennis.
Paul Rodich, when he first came to the United States, obviously from Kenya, and became an honor student at Tulane, could hardly speak English, and so an amazing, articulate young man. Let's take a break, and we'll be back in a few moments.
When everything's a little different, one thing remains the same: the chance to make a real difference. Because the norm here is anything but. Every day our volume grows. Every moment a bit more colorful than the last. From a city that's 300 years old, we inspire things that are entirely new. Because that's what creates the change the world desperately needs.
More than 7,000 student athletes rising to become champions in 22 different sports at 13 esteemed institutions across 11 states. 360,000 students and 2.6 million alumni rise up in celebration of a Power 6 conference known as the American, powered by determination.
I'm Kate Leahy, and this is my story. I love that TU is part of Tulsa, and that we're not stuck on campus. I'm in all sorts of organizations, and I've studied abroad, twice. At TU, I'm involved in whatever I want to be. I've learned that it's okay to change paths, because my life is an amazing book, and I'm still writing it, chapter by chapter. And that's my story, so far.
And we're back at the course, and we've got a special guest for a quick interview, Paul.
All right, Dennis, we're going to shift back to the women, and Kirk Hunter, the head coach of Wichita State, is with us. Tell me about the race that your ladies ran today. Very strong finish.
I was really impressed with the way they finished the second half of the race. I thought they were aggressive early, but not so aggressive that it killed them. And in the middle of the race, they really pushed hard, which was kind of our goal. We had obviously goals individually, but their number one goal is to try to win as a team.
Talk about the race Winnie Koske ran. She was tremendous, and obviously going head-to-head against Hannah Miller.
She's been an extremely coachable young lady over the last year, and she listens, does what I tell her. And Hannah's such a fabulous athlete, and I've been telling her since last track season that Hannah's as good as she is, she's going to come back ready to race, and you have to be ready because she's not ever going to let down. And, she proved it again today. Hannah put it out there again. She's a tough competitor, and we respect her a great deal. I'm really happy for Winnie to get the win.
What about Rebecca's performance, finishing third, which obviously is huge points?
Oh, it was huge. I mean, it was terrific for our team because we only won by 2 points, I think. And without that, we're 1 point. And, I mean, Rebecca's been struggling with some issues and health issues and stuff, and she just battles through it. I mean, if she was 100%, I would love to see what she could do, but given the fact that she's dealing with health issues and still managed to do that, I'm proud of that young lady.
I joked with her when we interviewed her earlier. She's a steeplechase runner, so she's used to running with wet shoes.
She likes the water, yeah. I mean, she does love the steeplechase. She had a great time at USA's this summer, and we're looking forward to her getting to 100% again so that she can join Koske up there in the front.
Talk a little bit about the conditions out here. How rough was it? Obviously this is New Orleans. We're below sea level. The rain's going to collect. So how difficult was it?
Well, I mean, I think the rain probably saved us. I mean, because if it was 90 degrees or something, given the weather we've had back in Kansas and going up to Wisconsin, this might have killed us. So, I mean, this may have saved us. The humidity is something we're not really used to, but the rain probably helped us a little bit. So we're happy we had the rain. Just thankful we got the races in.
Final thoughts then on being the American Athletic Conference champs.
I don't even know if I have words yet. I mean, coming to this conference, as great as these coaches are, they're so amazing. And to coach against these guys is a great feeling, and to be a part of them is something else. So to come out with a win is beyond words. I don't even know what else to say.
That's the head coach of Wichita State, Kirk Hunter. His ladies are the American Athletic Conference cross-country champs.
It was great to hear the humble words of a truly good coach. Coach Kirk Hunter, congratulations. And we'll be right back with more here at the American Cross-Country Championships.
Strong in mind, strong in body, strong in school, sport, life.
The grind is 10% physical and 90% mental.
The mind is the power.
The body is a means to jump higher, run faster,
be smarter, and live longer.
There is no weakness when it comes to seeking help.
We are stronger together.
So let's talk about it.
A waterfall starts with one drop.
Change starts with one person.
The American is dedicated to ending the stigma related to mental health
and promoting success through a healthy, powerful mind.
Promoting success through a healthy, powerful mind.
I was the last person anybody's thinking is going to be in college athletics. One thing I really valued about my SMU experience was being in engineering school. I was taught how to think. In 2012, my wife and I decided to start our foundation. Basically, the goal is to let kids be kids while they're in the hospital, but also be able to return to being a kid when they're done. A huge part of my quality of life is the experiences that I've had, and that was all provided by SMU. I'm Thomas Morstead. Game changers are shaped here.
Scores! 3 strikeouts in a row.
dominance for a 4th straight year.
Quaso from 30!
Unbelievable.
And be able to celebrate this type of championship.
There's the record breaker. They are the champions of the American.
In just 5 seasons, storied programs have united as a Power 6 conference. We've watched record breakers, All-Americans, and victories that prove we are not only equal to the best, but often better. Can you imagine what's ahead for this Power 6 conference? We can, because the best way to predict the future is to create the future. The American, powered by determination.
Welcome into the American Digital Network studio. It's time for your Olympic sports update. I'm Haley Outen. In women's soccer, it's the final week of the regular season, and it's going to be a photo finish as teams battle for the regular season championship. The marquee event will be the War on I-4 Friday night when USF hosts UCF. The Bulls can take the outright regular season championship with a win or tie, while the Knights will look to capture its 2nd straight title with a win of its own. The league's regular season champion will host next week's conference tournament. You can tune into this matchup live on the American Digital Network on Facebook Friday night at 7 p.m. Eastern. This is where the standings get fun, though. For Memphis, a title is still within reach if the Tigers win Friday and UCF beats USF. The American would then have a 3-way tie for the regular season crown. Either way, the conference championship gets underway next Wednesday somewhere in the state of Florida.
And we're back, and I understand, Paul, we've got a special guest for you. So, Paul.
All right, Dennis, here with the Tulsa head coach, Steve Gully, and 5th time. How's it feel?
Oh, it feels great. I was really proud of them. Probably more of just trying to handle the conditions in the whole trip. It's kind of been hectic and trying to keep them calm. I think all the athletes were kind of rattled with the conditions, the water, everything. And we just wanted it to be a fair race and a good race for everybody.
Well, talk a little bit about that. You get to the course, you don't know what time you're going to start. You don't know how much water is out there. I guess we got about 2 inches of rain in the last 24 hours. So how tough was it out there?
It was really tough. I think the kids will always remember this. You got to think from their point of view. They'll never run a race probably like this again, but I think it was tough. I think it took some of the 1,500 guys out. So can you imagine when we get the information 2 months ago that we'll be running in New Orleans, you're going to be hot, it's going to be hard, it's going to be fast. It's totally a different course than probably teams had planned for 2 months ago.
Talk about Scott Beatty and the race he ran. He made a late push on Emmanuel there. He wasn't going to catch him, but he certainly pushed hard in the end.
Yeah, Scott's worked good. I feel good for him because a good race gives you confidence, and they're still trying to build on. They got the rest of the season to go. But, the Tulane guy's great. He's won the region twice. That's a compliment that Scott can run that close. The boy from Cincinnati won the conference meet outdoors. So I think that was great for Scott. But, we probably look at a lot of things different at Tulsa. We look at more at the team. And we were proud that the team stuck in there and they ran good in the conditions. And I was really proud of the whole team.
Well, let's talk about that a little bit. The way you guys and Temple ran, kind of just 2 clusters there. Temple looking for their first win in this championship. Just talk about the way you guys kind of clumped together there and made sure all of your guys finished in critical points.
Yes, I think we knew what tempo was coming in, so it wasn't going to be a surprise. Second, I think we also was looking at Connecticut. They've always put out a great team, and if I apologize if I'm leaving another team out, but I'm not. But it was easier if we were kind of keying off tempo halfway when we realized at that point maybe tempo was a little bit ahead of Connecticut. I think it made it a little bit easier that we could find those jerseys and then make it more of a dual race instead of trying to do what's best for the individual. Let's clump it in as a team and race them head-to-head.
Just wrapping things up, 5 times in a row. That's an incredible accomplishment, not easy to do. And it talks to the level of depth you have, especially because you didn't have many of your guys returning from last year, at least the all-conference guys.
thank you. I think that was probably the most important because we honestly did not know what could happen because I think we had two guys that had conference experience. So you never know what's going to happen. So that's probably the biggest thing we're walking out of here with is that these guys stepped up. We got some experience with the younger guys, and we only lose one guy. But we circled this race, and it was more of a team effort, and I'm proud of the group that's running as a team. They mean a lot.
All right, Coach. Well, congratulations. Tulsa, your 5-time American Athletic Conference cross-country champions. Dennis, let's send it back to you.
It was so neat to see the long gold line of the Golden Hurricane, that tradition to the newbies, and they carried that mantle quite well. Coach Gully, congratulations on you. The irony is remnants of a hurricane and the Golden Hurricane win the American Athletic Conference cross-country championship title. So here we go. We'll be right back after a short moment.
I don't have protest. I'm hoping I can stand.
How do you drive impact for 200 years? By doing it boldly. By building a bridge, breaking a barrier, planting a flag, owning a stage. Because here, we learn by doing and believe the status quo was built to be broken. So be proud. Be bold. Be Cincinnati. We're 2 centuries in, and we're still creating what's next. We are Boldly Bearcat.
There's a lot to do out there. You can either talk about it, or you can do something about it. At ECU, we choose to do things. And we can help you do just about anything. Come here to keep hometowns thriving, hearts beating, or make waves across the world. Wherever you're headed, this ship can get you there. With 30,000 of us doing so much, you won't find anyone sitting around. You ready?
We're the visionaries chasing our dreams. Make a difference how we're living. Never routine. Conquer the impossible. Rise, break through. Fire in the belly. We've got something to prove. The world's watching while we're reaching for gold. Go higher, go further. Let your story unfold. Passionately smashing every expectation. Create and express. Every act is innovation. Powerhouse.
In a city known for doing things our way, there's a university that's driven to do the same, to blur the outdated line between academic pursuits and active ones, not just to learn, but to experience, to create, solve, build, to explore and express, to lead. Because an education isn't something you get, it's something you do.
Discovery. It can come from any direction, in places new and familiar, but often starts from within.
I got it. Oh, this is big. Whoa. This is big.
This is big.
This is big.
Power comes in all forms.
Power is a big tackle, a big save, a clutch hit,
or a game-winning shot.
Power is also standing up for what is right.
There is power in the sportsmanship that is displayed across the American.
Power is respecting opponents,
Officials,
student athletes,
Coaches and team representatives.
power is not tolerating racial or ethnic comments,
Profanities or other improper actions while at the game.
The American.
Power for life.
The American, power for life.
The American, power for life.
This is a classroom.
This is a lab.
This is a study break. This is our backyard. This is home.
This is Yukon.
Camera 4 striking.
I mean, I still do it.
Now, who's the utility?
Oh, it's
Where are those?
Yeah.
Jared, too?
Yeah.
I don't know if you heard what happened when I worked with him. They screwed us out of a bunch of money.
Yeah, I remember you telling me that.
I was the only one that said anything about it, so I haven't been through it since. Walt pissed me off.
Yeah, I remember the last game you worked with him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess they only threw me on that game because it was the last game and they wanted somebody for it. So they let me do that last one. Julie won. Yeah, one day you'll get off on
For the ceremony. And welcome back there. The team scores: Wichita State, your winner; Tulsa, second; Temple, third. Now, if you look at that graphic, look way over to the right. The top three teams: 63 points, 65 points, 67 points. I said to my athletes for over 35 years, in cross country, a place is 2 points. And that's one less your team gets, one more the other team gets. So Wichita State actually beat Tulsa 2 points. That's one place into the finish shoot. So place into the finish shoot might be just enough to get that kick, just to get in front of another runner. So that is one of the most narrow of margins you'll see in a conference cross-country championships between Wichita State, your winner, Tulsa, and Temple. Temple just 2 places back, 4 points. That is as close as you can expect in cross country. Big help with Winnie Kosgei in first, and third place to Rebecca Topham. So good to see her back running again. A storied career, and she's getting healthy and rounding into shape. You haven't seen the best that young athlete has. Tulsa, Golden Hurricane, did a great job. Just that classic pack running, almost did the hat trick in winning that. Then you've got Temple right there, third a year ago, and Coach Snyder's Owls doing just a great job. Then you've got SMU, the defending champions, in fifth. They're in UConn. Just 1 point separate those two. Then you can see, if you look at just sheer numbers and how numbers match up, a little bit of a separation between the top 5 teams and then the next 5 teams. East Carolina's Pirates leading that group at 162, Houston, and then you have Cincinnati, UCF, and Memphis. But big congratulations to Wichita State. Coach Hunter, it's so neat to see your team at the top of the podium. Those awards are just a couple minutes away, and we're looking very excited to see that. Still waiting on those men's results to come out, and we'll get those for you as soon as we have them here in the American.
Doesn't matter which input? I don't think so. Still one, I think. I got the mic here. Where does that need to be plugged in? Speaker output. Speakers. Okay, so speakers go in the back? Yep. Alright. Alright, we're gonna need a longer cord than this. Do we have one longer than this? Or the mic? For the mic? Yeah. Probably did. Not very long. I think we had one longer last week. We just have a full-on XLR. We can use that. Into that one. Let's actually run this one. This one's longer. Run this one over there. Run this back. Where it was, it's my fault. Yeah. Check. You hear that one? Curtis, you want to come? Are you talking? You want to come test this out? Please report to the principal's office. Hey, I'm going to send a text out and say 5 minutes. Go ahead, Curtis.
Ready to start? You ready? Ready to start?
No, just do a check.
Test, 1, 2.
I think we're going to go for it. We're going to start about 5 minutes. We're starting at a 5-minute check. Test it again. people down farther.
Like the Wizard of Oz, bro. I'm like the man behind the curtain.
Ladies and gentlemen, we will begin the award ceremony in 2 minutes. Ladies and gentlemen, we will begin the award ceremony in 2 minutes.
Do what you got to do. Perfect. Thank you so much.
Good morning and welcome to the 2018 American Athletic Conference Men's and Women's Cross Country Championships Award Ceremony at the Golf Club, Audubon Park in New Orleans, Louisiana. Presenting today's awards are Sharby Greer, Associate Athletics Director, Academic Services and SWA from Tulane University. Adam Tom, Director of Facilities and Event Management from Tulane University. And Patrick Colbert, Senior Director of Sport Administration and Championships from the American Athletic Conference. The American Athletic Conference would like to thank Tulane University for their attention and dedication to the successful staging of this championship. Additionally, the conference would like to thank Championship Director Adam Tom, Director of Facilities and Event Management from Tulane University, Tulane athletic staff members, and the volunteer staff and officials for their assistance in the production of this championship. At this time, we would like to recognize the women's individual winners. As I call your name, would you please come forward to accept your award? In 15th place, with a time of 23:28:09, Winnie Cabet from Wichita State. In 14th place, with a time of 23:21:66, Hannah Bristol from ECU. In 13th place, with a time of 23:18:77, Helene Holm Gottlieb from Temple. In 12th place, with a time of 23:17:56, Ashley Barnes from Tulsa. In 11th place, finishing with a time of 23:07:35, Michelle Joyce from Temple. In 10th place, with a time of 23:02:22, Lucy Jones from Temple. In 9th place, with a time of 22:59:31, Mia Nahom from Connecticut. In 8th place, finishing with a time of 22:58:03, Annika Grogan from SMU. In 7th place, with a time of 22:55:64, Jenny O'Brien from Tulsa. In 6th place, with a time of 22:52:97, Caitlin Clofer from Tulsa. In 5th place, with a time of 22:51:52, Jacqueline Gallery from Connecticut. In 4th place, with a time of 22:33:01, Hannah Miller from SMU. In 3rd, finishing with a time of 22:16:50, Rebecca Topham from Wichita State. The 2018 American Women's Individual Runner-Up in 2nd place with a time of 22:06:38, Svenja Ostersek from SMU. And finally, the 2018 American Women's Cross Country Individual Champion with a time of 21:51:96 from Wichita State, Winnie Koski. now for the Women's Team Awards. Finishing in 12th with a score of 334, USF. Finishing in 11th with a score of 303, Tulane. Finishing 10th with a score of 301, Memphis. Finishing 9th with a score of 292, UCF. Finishing 8th with a score of 225, Cincinnati. Finishing 7th with a score of 197, Houston. Finishing 6th with a score of 162, ECU. Finishing 5th with a score of 89, Connecticut. Finishing 4th with a score of 88, SMU. Finishing 3rd with a score of 67, Temple. And in second place with a team score of 65 with the team captains from Tulsa. Please come forward to accept the 2018 American Women's Cross Country Team Runner-Up Trophy. And now for the championship trophy presentation. Congratulations to this year's American Women's Cross Country Team Champion with a team score of 63. With the team captains from Wichita State, please come forward to accept the team trophy.
Ladies, in front of the pole, please.
Are we curving in?
I think it's slide over.
Oh, okay. Someone else come through.
You guys drop your hat there.
Who dropped their hat? That's my hat. I can't carry it.
Alright, I guess I'm in.
Yeah!
Josh, you're not wearing your hat.
It's too big. Looks good
I
on you,
did.
Now to honor the 2018 American Women's Cross Country Freshman of the Year, which goes to the top finishing freshman in the women's race. Finishing in 5th place overall with a time of 22:51.52. Jacqueline Gallery from Connecticut. Cross-country staff of the year, whose squad claimed the women's title. Wichita State, led by head coach Kurt Hunter. Next, we will recognize the men's individual winners. As I call your name, would you please come forward to accept your award? In 15th place with a time of 28:25:47, Evans Kipchumba from Tulane. In 14th place with a time of 28:16:70, Kevin Watzansky from Temple. In 13th place with a time of 28:13:86, Kyle Brockman from Connecticut. In 12th place with a time of 28:05:80, Adam Bro from Tulsa. In 11th, finishing with a time of 28:02:87, Austin Del Rosso from Tulsa. In 10th place with a time of 27:56:40, Luis Scoliano from Temple. In 9th place with a time of 27:54:58, Patrick Begley from Connecticut. In 8th place with a time of 27:51:33, Isaac Akers from Tulsa. In 7th place with a time of 27:50 flat, Cameron Field from Tulsa. In 6th place with a time of 27:40:12, Christian Holm Jensen from Temple. In 5th with a time of 27:34:66, Zach Seeger from Temple. In 4th place with a time of 27:29:85, Peter Lynch from Tulsa. In 3rd place with a time of 27:11:54, Aaron Beinenfeld from Cincinnati. the 2018 American Men's Individual Runner-Up in second place with a time of 27:09:02, Scott Beatty from Tulsa. And the 2018 American Men's Cross Country Individual Champion with a time of 27:06:09, Emmanuel Rotich from Tulsa.
Yeah. Guys, I need to get 2 rows of y'all so I can get a group picture of, like, facing me, facing me. One more row. Tall ones in the back, please. And you give us a seat. There you go. There you go. Kneel down. That's mine. Everybody right here. Look at me. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. One more. 1, 2, 3. Sure. And top 2 finishers together.
And now for the Men's Team Awards. Finishing in 10th with a score of 310, USF. Finishing 9th with a score of 220, Houston. Finishing 8th with a score of 209, ECU. Finishing 7th with a score of 178, Memphis. Finishing 6th with a score of 160, Tulane. Finishing 5th with a score of 138, Cincinnati. Finishing 4th with a score of 109, Wichita State. Finishing 3rd with 91 points, Connecticut. In 2nd place with a team score of 51, with the team captains from Temple, please come forward to accept the 2018 American Men's Cross Country Team Runner-Up Trophy. And now for the championship trophy presentation. Congratulations to this year's American Men's Cross Country Team Champion with a team score of 32. With the team captains from Tulsa, please come forward to accept the team trophy.
Everybody look at me. Have somebody say something just so I can hear them. I haven't heard anything in a while. Okay, yeah. Hey guys, come in front of the pole, please. There you go. Oh, sorry.
Now to honor the 2018 American Men's Cross Country Freshman of the Year, which goes to the top finishing freshman in the men's race. Finishing in 8th with a time of 27:51.33, Isaac Akers of Tulsa.
What sort of questions will you be asking?
And to conclude today's ceremony, let's recognize the 2018 American Men's Cross Country Staff of the Year, whose squad claimed the men's team title. Tulsa, led by head coach Steve Gully.
Get the, no, just right there, just so the post isn't in the way.
Congratulations to the entire Golden Hurricane staff. And congratulations once again to all.
All right, well, we just had all the awards presented, and of course, Tulsa, the 5-time defending champion. I'm joined by their top finisher, Scott Beatty. Scott, you guys didn't return anybody all conference except for yourself. What does it say about this team to be back in this position?
You know, it was a pretty young team this year, but we're confident going into every year, and this is probably one of the deepest teams we've ever had here. Deeper than last year, probably the year before. You know, we might not have the low stick up front that we've had in years past with Luke Traynor and Mark Scott and Ben Preisner and stuff, but as a collective, as a group, like, we're really strong, probably the strongest we've been in a while, and you know, we've been confident all year, and it was never in doubt today.
Well, Temple did push you. They definitely had a group of guys that were running there. Just tell me the pressure you got from them, but obviously you sound like you didn't feel like total pressure.
Yeah, I felt a little bit, probably second lap. I'd kind of broken away with the Cincinnati boy. But I knew our guys would come through strong at the end. You know, we've been training for that and working hard on closing these races out. So we were confident that we could close it if they pushed us in the middle of the race.
Tell me a little bit about coming out here. First of all, you didn't even know what time you guys were going to start. The course was wet as could be. Just take me through that, and you know, kind of staying in the zone and not letting all that bother you guys.
Yeah, the key is just not panicking and being ready to go whenever really. Like we get up to train early every morning, so the race changing early didn't phase us at all. We're used to running at 6 a.m., 7 a.m. every morning, and then it's just staying calm and keeping in the same routine no matter what happens, really. And the coaches were calm, we were calm, so it didn't affect us too much.
What was the course like out there? How wet was it? How challenging was it?
Yeah, it was pretty challenging. You know, being from the UK, I've run, and a few of our guys have run on courses like this quite a lot in high school. So we're used to the mud. But yeah, it just saps the energy. The legs feel heavy, and we would have preferred a dry course today, but you had to take what was given on the day, and we formed on the day on the course. So
finally, you finish up with the runner-up finish. You were chasing down Emmanuel there. Obviously had the big lead, but just tell me about your finish and coming up with the runner-up.
Yeah, so Rotich pushed it early in the race, and I just kind of sat with the guy from Cincinnati who I knew was pretty good. And I tried to push it going on to the last lap. I started closing a little bit, and then he caught me again, the guy behind, and I saw Coach with about 600 meters left, and he said that I could still catch him, so I started going then. It just ran out of room in the end, but yeah, I'm pretty happy to get second and just get a race. And it's been a few. We took a month off from racing just to be ready for this, so it's nice to get a race back in, and we'll get ready for regionals in 2 weeks.
Well, you definitely made a great push, great finish for you, great finish for your team. Congratulations. Scott Beatty, the runner-up here at the American Athletic Conference Cross Country Championships. His team wins the title for the 5th straight year. Dennis, let's send it back to you.
Thank you.
Well, congratulations goes to Wichita State's women there. Winnie Kosgei, she took the individual title, and could clean off. Scott Beatty led his Tulsa Golden Hurricane right behind Emmanuel Rodich, who defends his title. The All-American crosses the line first. What a great day. The Golden Hurricane wins in the remnants of a hurricane, in fact, here in New Orleans. We're very proud to present this program to you on the Digital Sports Network. We're glad you tuned in to the American Athletic Conference presentation of our cross-country championships.